feel like I'm good on my own. Don't need nobody beside me.
I'm Jeremy Harris with Como News. You've likely seen that video going around showing the shooting on the Seattle waterfront. Well, I want to walk you through where we got those videos, break down what they show, tell you about the criminal charges the shooter is facing and what's going to happen in his criminal case moving forward. First, I want to warn you, this video is graphic. It shows somebody who gets shot, but the victim in this case survived and has since been released from the hospital. So with that, let's give you a little bit of background about what happened that day. It was July 31st. It was an afternoon, 4:30 in the afternoon on the busy Seattle waterfront when two men got into a conflict. Now, according to a police report, one man, the victim, was in a wheelchair and he had patches on his wheelchair that identified him as a veteran. Another man, who police identify as Gregory Tim, comes up to the man in the wheelchair and accuses him of stolen valor, which is essentially pretending to be a member of the military or a veteran when you aren't actually one. Now, that's what starts the conflict, but whatever was happening between those two obviously attracted attention from bystanders because at least one person pulled out his cell phone and started recording. Now, let's go into that first video, which shows these two men sort of squaring off. Now, the shooter in this case is in the red shirt and the hat, and you can see the man in the wheelchair appears to be reaching for something, and then the man in the hat and the red shirt reaches into his backpack, pulls out a gun, and fires one shot, probably within 15 feet of the man in the wheelchair. You can see bystanders, as soon as that shot is fired, they get up and start running out of the area as anybody would after having just witnessed a shooting and not really knowing what was going on. The man in the red, who again is identified as Tim, then starts yelling at the guy in the wheelchair, says, "Pull a gun on me," or he says, "Show me your ID, pull a gun on me." So I interpret that to be that he's saying that he asked the man for an ID, which is what police say said happened, and then he says that the man pulled a gun on him. So let's let this video play out just a little bit here.
Pull a gun on me.
Some people seem to be stunned. Other people are trying to run out of the area, and there's at least a couple people that I can see that have cell phones out that are recording. This second recording, the witness video 2, really gets a clean shot of the shooter here and sort of the aftermath. Then the guy raises his hands and he says, "I'm sorry, he pulled a gun on me, he pulled a gun on me." He apologizes to all these bystanders here on the waterfront. Now, this is a really important moment in witness video number 2 because it zooms in very quickly on the man who's in the wheelchair. This is the victim who has just been shot, and he's holding in his hand what appears to me to be a gun that's in a holster. Now, police say that this was an airsoft gun that the victim in this case had pulled out, and in his other hand, I can see what looks like an ID. The court documents say that the victim here told police that he did have a military ID and that's what he was pulling out. But then he also said that, according to police report, he did have an airsoft gun, which does seem to be established here by the video. So as you can imagine, a shooting on a very busy Seattle waterfront, that attracted a lot of attention. We sent news crews down there. There was a massive police response to this, and they were able to quickly apprehend the shooter here, who's identified as Gregory Tim. So now I'm going to walk you through the court documents that were filed in this case and give you a little bit about the background here. Now,
before he get into that, this really pisses me off as a veteran. It really pisses me off because as a veteran, whether you're another veteran or not, I don't have to show you a damn thing. I don't have to show you shit. I don't have to show you no ID to prove I'm a veteran. I know when I was in the military. I don't have to prove that to you. You're a nobody for me to prove that to. You're a nobody. I'm not working with you through the VA or for my disability or for any claims with the government at all. I'm not proving to the government right now that I am a veteran. This is somebody random asking to see the ID because you see a military patch in my possession. I don't have to show you it. I can walk around with a veteran t-shirt right now in Seattle. And I get to Seattle in like 30 minutes. I can walk down there with a veteran head on, veteran shirt, a Navy shirt, all of that. I don't have to show you shit. He obviously did this with somebody he knew he could do it with, because the wrong person, he wouldn't have been able to pull this on. And that's the sad part about it. But it really pisses me off as a veteran to do that, because what was being stated is the victim was actually a veteran, and they can't even find anything on the shooter actually being a veteran at all. So the question is, why the hell would he even care? But two, he doesn't have to show you shit. He's not obligated to show you nothing to prove he's a veteran. He don't have nothing to prove to you that he's a veteran. Either you believe him or you don't. But he don't have to prove nothing to you.
The prosecutors, the first thing they do when they file these criminal charges is they lay out a request for bail. And in this case, they asked for bail of $750,000. There's a few things from their bail request that stick out to me. They say that Tim was the one who provoked this whole conflict at first. I'm just going to read a little bit here. It says, in this case, the defendant, Tim, approached the victim, who was in a wheelchair on the boardwalk of the waterfront near Starbucks, as he demanded the victim provide identification to prove his military status.
Right then and there. He don't have to do that. He's not obligated to show you nothing.
The victim was taking out his wallet. The defendant removed a military patch from the victim's belongings. So
another thing right there, how are you going to take his property when you couldn't even verify if he was a veteran or not? You couldn't even verify if he was a veteran or not. You just immediately start removing his belongings, his property.
Again, Tim, the accused shooter here, according to prosecutors, removed a patch from the victim's wheelchair. This caused the victim to arm himself with a knife. The defendant continued to demand the victim show his ID, and the victim pulled out a holstered airsoft gun. Before the victim could even do anything with it, the defendant pulled out his handgun, pointed it at the victim, and shot him point blank in the chest. And that's what we just watched in the video. According to the prosecutors, they say this was a completely unnecessary act of violence committed by the defendant to a vulnerable victim who was confined in his wheelchair. Now, then they go on and they have more of the police narrative, but it basically backs up what I've already told you here about the fact that these two are getting into this dispute over whether or not there's stolen valor, whether this guy's pretending to be a member of the military. He told the police that he is actually a military veteran and actually had his ID with him. But it seems to be sort of a random confrontation. It's not clear why Tim, the accused shooter here, would have taken such an exception to this man identifying himself as a veteran and being down on the Seattle waterfront. So basically that goes through. He ends up getting charged with assault in the first degree. Now, one of the questions I've seen people asking on social media, they say, why is he just charged with assault and not attempted murder? In the state of Washington, assault in the first degree is a very serious criminal charge, and it can come with potential for decades in prison. So it's not surprising to me why prosecutors filed assault in the first degree charges. Second thing I've seen on social media is a question being asked about, well, if this guy in the wheelchair did pull out an airsoft gun or did have a knife, then isn't this an act of self-defense? Well, at the time the charges were filed, we took that question to the prosecutor's office, and they said because Gregory Tim is the initial aggressor.
I was about to say that same thing. He the one who started that. I was about to say that before he got to me. I was too slow. Anyway, I was about to say the same thing. We know what this is. This man is claiming to be a veteran. You go up to him, you see the military patch or whatever. Before he even claimed veteran or anything, you see the military patch on him and everything, on his belongings, and you question him. He doesn't show you anything because he doesn't have to. And you take that as in is stolen valor. Stolen valor is the thing. But guess what? You didn't have grounds for stolen valor right there. You didn't have grounds for it. This man wasn't like most stolen valor videos you see men wearing their uniforms incorrectly or out of regs. And then you could point them out and, okay, yeah, you just stolen valor. You were never in the military. Still, you cannot just grab people's property. Even then, you can't just go grabbing their uniforms. You can't go grabbing their patches, any of that. Even if you thought it was stolen valor, who the hell are you to just go grabbing his stuff? You go grabbing his patches. Why? It's not yours. Have you even served in the military? That's one thing we could not find. We could not find that the defendant, the shooter, was even in the military. Stolen valor is a thing, but you did not have grounds for stolen valor here. Not with that old handicapped man. He don't have to show you nothing. You could have just let him be. Then to come to find out he actually was in the military. He actually was a veteran. So why did you start? You started with that with him for nothing. And then because you're quicker than him, he pulls out an airsoft pistol. And as soon as he points it towards you, already had your gun pointed at him. So as soon as he points his airsoft pistol at you, you shoot him right in the chest.
According to the prosecutors, he started the fight. He then cannot turn. When that escalates, he then can't turn around and say, this is an act of self-defense. Now, that could be a real key issue here at court, and I imagine if this case goes to trial, it will be. But the prosecutors say they don't buy any claim that this was an act of self-defense, especially as we just read that the victim here is confined to a wheelchair. So the prosecutors say it's not a case of self-defense. He couldn't claim that in shooting this guy in the chest while he's confined to a wheelchair, regardless of whether or not he had that airsoft gun. And as we saw there in the video, it appears to me that airsoft gun is still in a holster. So it could make for an interesting self-defense case if it goes to trial. But prosecutors said they don't buy the claim of self-defense. They asked for $750,000 bail. They charged him with first-degree assault. And as far as the jail records show, Tim is still confined to jail here at the King County Jail, and the case is going to move forward against him. Usually in a case like this, there'll be an arraignment hearing, there'll be a plea entered of not guilty, and then it will go forward. There may be could be possible that his defense team would ask for a reduction in bail. But then, a case like this generally will take, I would expect, at least a year, if not more, to resolve its way through the court system. And if it does go to trial, it'll be very interesting because Gregory Tim here is going to have to set up a claim of why he believed that his life or safety was in immediate danger as a result of the actions of the victim here in the wheelchair. Now, the condition of the victim, we know, we've checked with the hospital. He's since been released. He was shot in the chest. That he survived seems to be a miracle here because, as you saw in that video, that shot was fired from not more than, I would say, 15 feet away, directly into his chest. But he survived. He got taken up to Harborview Medical Center, where he's now been released from the hospital.
Good. I'm glad he's alive. I'm glad he's fine. Good. For anybody that served, thank you for your service. But I hope the guy does time. I get the guy pulled an airsoft pistol that was still in a holster out. But stemming from the beginning of that, he had no reason to even stop him. He had no reason to approach him, no reason to harass him about an ID to prove he was a veteran. He doesn't have to. He doesn't owe you that. He's not obligated to show you nothing. Who are you? He's not obligated. He don't have to show you nothing. I don't have to show you my ID to show you I was in the military. I don't have to show you nothing to say I was in the military. I can just say I was in the military. If you don't believe me, you don't believe me. I don't need you to. This man minding his business and you coming up to him because you see a military patch on him and you ask him for ID and he refused to show you because he don't have to. And then you shoot him. You shoot a man in a wheelchair who was minding his business at first. Good thing he's alive and he's released and he's out. Good thing you're locked up. I hope you stay in jail. I hope they don't let you out. I hope when your trial comes, you get as many years as they decide to give you. Whatever they decide is fair. I've been to Seattle plenty of times. I think the last time I went to Seattle was a couple weekends ago. It was a couple weekends ago, a couple Fridays ago. And every time I go out there, it's always something. Never with me. I'm not worried in Seattle at all. But it's always something. Y'all let me know. Before I even get into that, if you have any videos that you want to send me and want me to react to, send them to my email. My email is going to be in the description. Okay. Go ahead and let me know any videos you want me to react to. Go ahead and send them to me. As always, like and subscribe for the channel and the algorithm. As always, I love you. The channel loves you. Till next time, I'm out.
I feel like I'm good on my own. Don't need nobody beside me.